Hey there, folks. Welcome to week 2 for this month. We are working on the Billie Eilish tune Ocean Eyes. So by now, hopefully by week 3, what you've got locked in is your right hand coordination moving through that rhythm. You've got your left hand moving between all of the chords and their variants, and then also being able to connect them in the order that they appear in the tune, which are called progressions. Being able to do this is one thing, and then being able to do this consistently is another, right? What we're really looking for is almost like autopilot. We're looking for our body to be able to move through this, our ear to kind of guide us into what's coming next. That way we can free up some bandwidth and space when we start to sing over top, when we're doing the chord variants, being able to have the bandwidth to be able to find these things on the fretboard and do all of these extra skills. If your right and your left hand are not in muscle memory and you're still struggling between all of these chord shapes, don't worry, take your time, move slowly, and really repetition is what's going to give you consistency. So always remember that. If you're having trouble connecting two chord shapes, or you always stop your rhythm or screw up your rhythm when you're moving between a certain shift, then just focus on that one shift. Really try to identify what it is between those two chords that make the most sense, that really is like the straightest line with the least amount of effort between the chords. That's what we're really looking for. So try and pay attention to those transitions, the places that you struggle the most, and all you want to do is create an environment where you're repeating those on a pretty consistent basis. Today what we're going to do is review all of the chords that we're going to need to know for the tune, including their variants, right? And then we'll review the chord progressions and the rhythms, and then we'll try to get into a little bit of singing and playing, which is what I usually like to do week 3. Hopefully you've got your muscle memory for your right and your left hand locked in, so we can start to allocate some bandwidth to be able to do these extra skills, right? All right, let's move into the chords. The chords that we need to know: 0, 0, 0, and 3. And then we're doing this. This is a C chord, and then we're moving into this variant of D. Remember, 0, 2, 2, and 0. My pointer finger and middle are stacked on the inside strings. Now from here, I really need to make sure I'm shifting, right? And I can even keep that shape intact while I shift. So now I'm on 3, and I can pivot into that E minor. Remember, if you don't have this little shift onto the 3rd fret, oftentimes you're in the wrong position. You need to reach here for the 3rd fret. You're trying to keep your hand, and it's going to twist your hand into kind of an awkward shape. What you're really looking for is that shift. See how my thumb was here over the nut, and then it shifts to the fret 1, which means that I'm in a better position to be able to line up for this E minor chord. 0, 4, 3, and 2, right? D, E minor, and then the last chord we need to know is a G. And you'll notice I get that shift back into the first position again to be into my G chord. Cool. Let's review our progressions. Remember, for the majority of the tune, what we're playing is C and D and E minor. 2, 3, 4. And we're hanging on that E minor a little bit longer. Remember, the count is 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is on a downbeat. 1, 2, and on the offbeat, and then back on the downbeat, right? 1, 1, 2, ready again. So we're going to go 2 rotations, 1 more, bum, 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 bottom. Now we go to a G chord for 3 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And that's our first rotation. Remember, what we're going to do is repeat ourselves on the next rotation, and then we're going to add those variants to the G chord and the C chord, which I'll go over in a second. Cool? Let's try it one more time. 2, 3, 4. I have been watching you for some time, can't stop staring those ocean eyes. And then we repeat, right? Burning cities, napalm skies, 15 flares inside those. Now we go G, ocean to C. Nice, beautiful. And then remember, second ending, what we're doing is we're playing that first ending plus adding an extra measure. Ocean eyes. So it's more of a tag, right? Remember, a tag is kind of repeating what the phrase that we just did. In this case, what we're tweaking is the melody a little bit, and we're trying to match that with the chord voicings we choose. Cool? So let's go over that. It's a G chord here. And remember, you've got to reach to get that pinky right there. You can always just reach, keeping the chord shape intact. And remember, lifting your middle finger is going to help a little bit with your reach. Loosen the tendons up in the back of your hand. Or you can pivot. Your middle finger can take the place of your ring finger on the E string, and then you can reach with your pinky to 5. If you do this, it's going to be a lot easier of a stretch. It's not going to feel as constricted, but it also requires a little bit extra movement. So in this case, with the reach, it's a little less movement, right? You keep the chord shape intact. This one is a little bit easier if you're really struggling with that stretch. Now from here, my pinky can slide up, and there's my version of a C chord, 0, 0, 0, and 7, right? Let's try it again. G, pinky down 5, and then slide up for C. Cool. One more time. Here, add the 5th fret, and then slide up. Cool. One more time. Here, and this time I'm going to pivot my middle finger to the 3rd fret on the E string. That way that reaches a little easier, and then to the 7th fret. Cool. Last time, here we go. 2, 5, and then 7. Awesome. Now remember, what we have is 2 rotations of this tune, or of this progression, exactly the same, and then on the end of the second one we add this little tag. Cool. So let's give it a try. Here's our verse, and remember, it's our chorus as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Napalm skies, 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. And let's try that second ending. Those ocean eyes, not fair. Awesome. And remember, the chord progression, the left hand is going to stay identical as we move into the chorus, which is helpful, right? Our left hand already knows how to do everything. It's not going to change. And what we really need to change is what we're doing with the rhythm. Cool? So we did a little review of what the right hand looks like. Let's get a little more focused into that. Remember, what we're playing is 1 and. And that's all we're doing for the simple version of this rhythm that we're using in the chorus. 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4. 1, 2, ready again. 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. So that 4 and is what we're doing as the pickup, or the more busy rhythm that we're doing in the rhythm. You heard that? I mean, in the chorus, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 and. That little strum up. Cool? Now remember, it's really important where you contact the string. Most of the time when we just sort of like attack this without thinking, our nail will be kind of present in that strum, the kind of corner of our thumb, right? The hard corner part where it's calloused right there. That part is going to make a little bit of a loud sound. What we want to do is kind of turn our hand so that the pad of our thumb is what's striking, and we really want to make this as warm and like swooshy sounding as we can, right? We want this nice warm padded sound with our thumb, and then when we come on the up, we've got to find this little spot right here on the corner to come up so that we don't catch that thumbnail in there, right? One of the things that I like to do is actually angle my thumb a little bit away from the strings. That way it's only skin that's contacting the strings, right? 1, and there's my up strum. Now remember, that happens a little bit quickly. It's on a 8th note count, so 4 and, right? So it sounds like ba, 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 1, 2, 3, ba, 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 ba. One way you can kind of practice the feel of this pickup is to just do the pickup into the downbeat, right? So that means ba, ba, ba. That can often help if you start with that count on the 4 to start your rotation. Then you can kind of feel how those are all connected. 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Now remember, this is what we're doing during the chorus. Not fair. Remember, remember, this second version of this rhythm, totally optional, right? You can always do the empty one and it'll actually function. It will work. You can also not do it every one, right? Only when you're feeling it, or only when you can throw it in. Every other one, it'll make it stand out a little bit more if you're not doing it consistently every measure. So up to you. And remember, those two rhythms is really what we need to work between. Our right hand's job throughout the entire tune is just that. So let's see if we can practice moving between those two rhythms. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll call this our empty rhythm. 3, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and let's try it with the fill. Ready? Ba, ba, ba. 1 and 1, 2, 3. Fill. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Beautiful. Done. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, ready. Good. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Let's go back to the empty. Here. Just chill. Ba, dum, ba, ba, ba. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. 1, 2, 3. Finish on 1. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, cool. So remember, our right hand's job is to move between those two. So really make sure that you have those locked in. Let's go for the second half of the verse in moving into that chorus. Yeah, and we'll do one rotation of the chorus. 1, 2, ready, and burning cities and napalm skies. 15 flares inside those oceans. Good. Remember, 2, 5, 7. Good. No fair. And we change the rhythm slightly. Ba, ba, da, da. You really know how to make me cry when you give me those oceans. Ba, I'm scared. Da, da, da. Good. I'm never falling quite this high, falling into your oceans. Good. Those oceans. Nice. Right? Moving from 2 to 5 and up to 7, and then we're back into verse 2. Back into our empty rhythm, moving between those chords. Make sense? Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. Being able to sing and play, that's a whole nother story, but at least for the right and left hand, getting these locked down, I think everybody here is capable of being able to do that. So really, lots of repetition. Make sure you can feel and hear that rhythm. And remember, when you can connect our movement to what you can hear in your ear, that's really going to be the strongest form of muscle memory that we can build, right? Okay, let's start to work on singing and playing a little bit today. For some of you, I know that that's probably already been started, but in most of my handouts, I really try and keep this consistent, that I've got the chord changes here. Sorry, my stylus just died, of course, right when I needed it to be there. For this tune, for my handouts, I really try to have that little karaoke style version, but only for the verse and the chorus, or if there's a bridge. I really only try to do it once, because I'm a firm believer that once you know how to sing verse 1, then you know how to sing verse 2. And oftentimes choruses are just repeated even word for word and how you sing the actual melody. So I really just try and put it there once to kind of fight that urge of doing the little karaoke thing where you're just following each little chord change and trying to keep your eyes on the paper. I think it's a really unnatural way to be able to connect with how the melody connects with the rhythm and the chords. Cool. So once this pops back up, one of the things I really like to do when I'm trying to connect melody with rhythm is to simplify. And I think for this tune, one of the best ways to do that is to just take the ukulele out of your hands, right? Can you do that rhythm that we've been working on, strumming with just your fingers? Ba, ba, ba. Cool. The nice part about this tune is that the syllables in this, or the words, they really connect with that count, right? I've been watching you for some time. This doesn't always happen, and you're really lucky when it actually does, because the rhythm that you're playing really matches the cadence of what your voice is doing. So we can really use that to our advantage here. Connect how the voice should start at the same time you're strumming. It's really helpful. Now there's a couple of places here, especially in the chorus, where you really got to stretch words out in order to make this work, right? Let's see the first one. It's these two syllable words, like napalm here, 15 here, right? So you got to go napalm skies, right? Napalm skies. 15. The nice part about 15 is it's almost like two words itself, right? So remember, I really try and place those precisely to help people with their cadence. But one thing you'll notice is that if you jump to verse 2, there's not going to be any of those little guideposts. But if you want to just do it yourself, you can always just print this out and create little dots, right? Like if I put a pen here and I just go, I've been walking through a world gone blind, right? Can't stop thinking of your diamond. Do you see? Now here I'm not actually writing the chord names, but I'm really just marking out where each of these syllables gets accented inside of the rhythm, right? And again, if you can tap that out, then when you take it to the ukulele and start to add the chords, at least your body has kind of heard it and done it correctly once or twice, maybe 10 or 20 times, maybe 30 or 40 times. That way you really are positive about what you're supposed to do before you actually go and try to add all of the technique that we're adding on the instrument, right? So I'll go ahead and undo all those. And let's see if we can try just tapping out that rhythm. Ba, ba, ba. And let's sing through verse 1. Yeah? 1, 2, ready, and I've been watching you for some time. Nice. Can't stop thinking of those ocean eyes. I kind of said the wrong words, right? Staring at those ocean eyes. Burning cities and napalm skies. Good. 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Your ocean eyes. So even though that G isn't there, right? That G is right there. Even though that is only one thing that you see, remember that on that last rotation, we're adding that other G, right? The other version of G, 0, 2, and 5. We're extending our pinky out. Ocean. That's where the next G would be, right? So I can pencil that in. I can make a dot. I can kind of mark it to myself just so it can help me kind of connect what the lyrics are doing, right? So always remember, you can simplify what you're doing by just tapping it out. And then the next step I would take is just omitting the left-hand chords. So instead of playing the actual chords themselves, C, D, and E minor, I would just cover the strings with my left hand. And now, instead of tapping on the table, I would just strum like that, covering the strings with my left hand. And then we try that same exercise. 2, 3, 4. I've been watching you for some time. Beautiful. Can't stop staring at those ocean eyes. Beautiful. And burning cities and napalm skies. Nice. And 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Your ocean. Extra strum there. Eyes. Right. And that's where you're shifting to the 7th fret. Now, I was kind of moving through each line pretty quickly, but remember, if one of those lines, a little question mark, kind of pops up over your head and you think to yourself like, oh, I don't know how to sing that, always remember that you can just isolate that one line, right? Like if I was having trouble with uh, 15 flares inside these ocean eyes, right? If I was having trouble with that line, then I could just loop it. 15 flares inside those ocean eyes, right? If I was struggling with that line, then I would just sing it over. 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Just do it again. 15 flares, right? If you loop a section, then what happens is you kind of get the repetition to be able to have your body kind of adjust where you're playing. You're like, that doesn't feel right. Make a minor adjustment, tweak something. My right hand, focus a little more on my right hand, or shift where I start that syllable, or maybe I rushed that word last time. I'll try stretching it out. You can't really have confidence about how to sing something until you've done it correctly a few times, right? And so getting that repetition is really, really doable when we loop sections, right? So think small lines that you're really struggling with, just put them in a loop, sing them over and over and over again until you're positive that's what it sounds like. Then you can start to add difficulty, right? Take it to the ukulele and then eventually add the chords, right? Sequencing is such an important part of my teaching, and something that I think should really start to become instinctual for students that are learning. Remember, if anything ever feels overwhelming, or you're really struggling with something, you're probably just doing too much. Is there a way to simplify this? Is there a way to strip away any of these elements that we can? Cool. So now let's quickly go over the chorus before we get out of here, and you'll notice that that's a lot trickier, right? No fair. Notice that the actual progression itself doesn't start until the middle of the second word inside of the chorus. So that's a little bit different, and a lot of times people struggle with, like, they think no is the beginning, no fair, and then they're trying to kind of add the chords in the strumming in the wrong spot. So this is what's called a pickup. We go no fair, and I almost like hear that as another repetition of that that concept, or that syllable, right? No fair. If I just right when I'm strumming, it'll help me kind of connect those. Now you kind of hang on that, and then you do this little trill, right? No fair. That very last hit, that's going to be the start of another cycle. So you actually play through 2 rotations of the chord progression before you even get past the first 2 words, right? It's a little bit tricky. No fair. You really know how to make me cry. And then you start to get into a little bit more of a natural cadence where you're not just hanging on one note. Cool. So one more time, 2, 3. No fair. Really know how to make me cry when you give me those ocean eyes. Cool. So again, the chorus is really the trickiest part of this tune, getting the lyrics to match up, right? Practice this a lot, right? Like, feel how how all of these melodic phrases have beginnings and endings, right? Beginning of this one, dun dun. Even though it's a pickup, you kind of feel the beginning when you hit the C chord, right? Ba-da, right? Through all of these, and then always remember that what was I going to say? Always remember that when you're looping these sections, you can make those minor adjustments and kind of tweak what your voice is doing only when it's simple. If all of your concentration is on how do I move to that next chord, how do I transition between these 2 things, if you're really only focusing on that, then it's going to be hard for you to make these little minor adjustments, right? So really pay attention to that, that the chorus is going to be a little bit trickier and might need a few repetitions. But the nice part is in chorus 1 and chorus 2, you're actually singing the same words, so you really just repeat yourself, and then also in the last chorus. Okay, cool. Thanks for jumping in to class today. It was nice seeing you all. And yeah, we'll see each other next week for our 4th week. We'll be doing a little review on the singing and playing, and then a couple of extra elements if you want to add, if you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge. Okay? All right. Thanks for dropping into UKLab. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.